Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, August 4th, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what that's been like in your year recently. Also, feel free to ask any other related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that we have numerous tropical waves across the Atlantic basin, two tropical waves across the main development region, and one tropical wave across the eastern Caribbean. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see those clouds associated with that tropical wave across the main development region, and the clouds associated with that other tropical wave that's across portions of the eastern Caribbean at this time, affecting portions of the Windward and Leeward Islands, not to mention sections of Puerto Rico. We'll be talking more about the weather across the Caribbean later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday. It was stated in yesterday's video that we would have received some amount of afternoon rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. And with the wind shear coming in from the southeast, it would have brought more of the thunderstorms and overcast skies to sections of some northern parishes. And what ended up happening? As early as 3:15 p.m., we saw those clouds building. We had that diurnal convection, those cumulus clouds becoming cumulonimbus clouds due to daytime heating. Then we had that afternoon convection across sections of some central, well, eastern, central, and western parishes. So we indeed had that across sections of St. Andrew, sections of St. Catherine, sections of St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, sections of St. James, Trelawney. And we can see it even better on the visible satellite images here. So we saw those high cold cloud tops starting to blow off towards the northwest. So there we had that huge burst of convection across sections of Trelawney, St. James, even had some across sections of Kingston, St. Andrew, and sections of St. Catherine as well. And we can see that better on the infrared satellite images wherever we have those sparkling white dots. That's where we had those lightning flashes, if not lightning strikes. And we know those high cold cloud tops are represented by those oranges and red colors. So we definitely had some amount of afternoon thunder showers today. And if we actually take a look at the temperatures for tonight, we can still have 82 degrees Fahrenheit in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And that's about the equivalent of 27.7 degrees Celsius. And if we actually take a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that both the Euro and the GFS for 18th on Saturday, which is 1 p.m. on Saturday, showing yellows or slight oranges, which indicate at least 1 to 2 degrees Celsius above average. I know that average temperatures for the month of August is about 91 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the equivalent of 32.2 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 34 degrees Celsius for Saturday. If we take a look at the dry air map, we can still see that we have the driest air right there off the coast of Africa, as indicated by the reds and whites within those reds, and indicated by the key at the bottom. And we have the least amount of dry air right there across the southern and western Caribbean, as indicated by the yellows. Not so much dry air across Jamaica at this time. However, as it relates to Saharan dust, we do see some amount of Saharan dust across sections of the eastern Caribbean, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, and sections of the Windward Islands. It is not that robust as what we see right there to the northern main development region and the northwest coast of Africa, where we have those darker shades of browns, which indicates some amount of robust plumes of dust. And as usual, majority of this dust is going to be pushing its way westward, and it's going to be dissipating the more west it comes. As it relates to the wave forecast for Saturday, we can see we're still getting up to at least 1 to 1.5 meter wave height for both from both the Euro and the GFS malls, with the highest waves as indicated by the darker shades of blue, especially on the south and the east coast. And that's due to the fact that the winds will be coming in from the east for tomorrow. So the strongest winds will be on the south coast up to 20 knots, the north coast maybe up to 50 knots, And we can see where we are going to be having all of that here piling up across sections of some central and western parishes, where we have those blue shades that indicate the least amount of wind. And as usual, we're going to have that diurnal convection, those cumulus clouds becoming cumulonimbus clouds, all courtesy of daytime heating, contributing to that afternoon convection. And we're still going to be having that wind shear coming in from the southeast for tomorrow, just like what we had today with the clouds being pushed off towards the northwest. So definitely some afternoon convection, something similar to what happened today, with more of that afternoon convection across sections of some western parishes in Jamaica. So we can even see it on the precipitation forecast. This is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. And we see those blues that represent rainfall on both the Euro and the JFS malls across sections of some central and western parishes right there, especially on the northwest side. Hanover, St. James, Trelawney. Let's take a look back at the parishes and the breakdowns. So definitely Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, that's where we see those darker shades of blues and greens, which could indicate some amount of isolated flash flooding in some spots. And we see something similar on the Euro mall. We know that when both of them are showing the same thing, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. And we can also see that the accumulated precipitation forecast is showing that we're definitely going to be in for some amount of rainfall tomorrow. The GFS showing more rainfall than the Euro. The GFS showing up to 0.68 of an inch of rainfall across western Jamaica, while the Euro showing 0.41 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, we're definitely going to be in for some rainfall, and we're grateful for that considering that we're in the month of August and the rainfall usually ramps up from this moment forward. We're actually stepping out of the secondary dry season, and we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put a dent in the hydrological drought. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see that we don't have much happening across portions of Honduras or Nicaragua today. Majority of the wet weather is right there across sections of Cuba. We have that afternoon convection, sections of Florida, sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, sections of the Windward Islands. Not so much across sections of Guyana for today, but Suriname definitely gotten on some amount of afternoon convection. As it relates to the northeastern Caribbean, the Leeward Islands, we can see that rainfall across sections of Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, sections of Martinique, and even on the Barbados radar, we can see some amount of rainfall, not so much across Barbados though, some amount of rainfall across sections of Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Grenada right there. As relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see some amount of rainfall across sections of Cuba, sections of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, sections of Venezuela, sections of the waters right there to the east of Dominica. So more rainfall incoming, all courtesy of the moisture associated with the tropical waves. And we can see some rainfall across sections of Dominica right there. If we actually take a look at the temperature forecast, we can see that we're definitely in for some slightly above normal temperatures across majority of the Caribbean for tomorrow, as indicated by those yellow shades, with the most above normal temperatures right there across the south central United States. And if we take a look at the wave forecast, we can see that yes, we're going to be having up to 2 meter wave height wherever we have those purples right there to the northwest of Colombia and to the east of the Leeward Islands. And that's due to the fact that the strongest winds will be right there, up to 25 knot winds as indicated by those yellow colors. And we see the same on the Euro and the JFS malls, and that when they are showing the same thing, the chances of it actually happening are much higher, with everywhere else receiving up to 20 knot winds. As related to the rainfall forecast, definitely going to be seeing some amount of rainfall across sections of northern Cuba, sections of Florida, the Bahamas, sections of Hispaniola, eastern Puerto Rico, anywhere from Guadeloupe southward, Dominica, sections of Martinique, sections of Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, sections of Suriname, French Guyana, Guyana, Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, and sections of the Yucatan Peninsula right there. So we're definitely going to be in for some amount of rainfall across the Caribbean region for tomorrow. And we see that both maps are showing the same thing. And when they are showing the same thing like this, the chance of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for